Scientists have identified a new species of tyrannosaur from Asia that may be the missing link for T-Rex. Welcome back to Paleopedia, and of course, T-Rex and its relatives are the most iconic and beloved dinosaurs that have ever been discovered. T-Rex specifically is arguably the most powerful terrestrial predator to have ever existed on the planet, being a 40-foot, 10-ton-ish bone-crushing animal that could hunt just about anything in its environment. But one of the bigger questions regarding T-Rex and its relatives is how exactly did we get to them? Because there's a couple of conflicting ideas surrounding that. We know that tyrannosaurs first evolved around 145 million years ago in Asia, with the best representative of that time being Guanlong, a very small tyrannosaur that I've talked about before in this video. Feel free to go check it out. They evolved during a time where the predators of the northern hemisphere of the planet were dominated by the allosaurs, another very iconic group of animals. And as the tyrannosaurs continued to evolve, they got bigger and eventually replaced the allosaurs as the dominant predator. We also know that roughly 80 million years ago, give or take, the tyrannosaurs made a migrational trip from Eurasia into North America, and it's been overall believed that that was where we got the icons like Albertosaurus, Gorgosaurus, and T-Rex. But a rediscovery of a set of fossils discovered in Mongolia over 50 years ago seems to be turning that idea on its head. So back in the early 1970s, a set of fossils was found in Mongolia's eastern deserts, and paleontologist Altan Jarell Perle identified them as a species of tyrannosaur known as Electrosaurus. After they were identified and classified, they were given to a museum collection and they sat on a shelf for over 50 years until University of Calgary paleontologist Jared Voris took a trip to Mongolia in 2023, where he ran across the bones as he was studying other tyrannosaurs. It was here that Voris realized that these fossils did not belong to Electrosaurus. They were representing a new species of tyrannosaur that he named Khankhuuluu mongoliensis. And after looking more closely at these fossils of this new Khankhuuluu species, Voris has realized that this discovery is incredibly important for our understanding of tyrannosaur evolution. At first glance, as far as tyrannosaurs go, Khankhuuluu wasn't really all that spectacular. It was a medium-sized animal from around 86 million years ago, measuring in at about 13 feet long and around 1,700 pounds in weight. But it's where Khankhuuluu fits in the evolutionary tree of tyrannosaurs that makes it really important, specifically because of what it's closely related to in the family. Specifically, Khankhuuluu is a close relative of the family of tyrannosaurs called Tyrannosauridae, which include dinosaurs like Albertosaurus, Gorgosaurus, and T-Rex from North America, but also Asian dinosaurs like Alioramus and its relatives. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the historical understanding of how we got dinosaurs like T-Rex stem from the simple idea that they evolved in Asia, they diversified, and then some of their descendants moved into North America and became those iconic dinosaurs. But Khankhuuluu's discovery kind of rewrites that a little bit. Because of how Khankhuuluu relates to the Tyrannosauridae family, being that it's very closely related but not a direct ancestor of it, the study of Khankhuuluu is suggesting that after tyrannosaurs diversified in Eurasia and moved into North America, some of those North American descendants moved back into Asia where they experienced a second rapid diversity explosion, and then some of those descendants moved back into North America a second time and then became the iconic North American dinosaurs like T-Rex. When the North American tyrannosaurs first migrated back into Asia, one of those descendants evolved into a group of tyrannosaurs like Alioramus. They were more medium-sized, they were slender, and a little bit faster and more agile, while another group evolved to be the bulkier, more heavy-hitting bone crushers that would then eventually move back into North America. This remigration back into North America happened somewhere around 73-ish million years ago, and it means that T-Rex, rather than being a staple of the North American continent for tens of millions of years, was actually a newcomer to the continent. To put it simply, the reason to why we have the iconic T-Rex is because of a transcontinental migrational back and forth over a period of about 20 million years, and this is what allowed the Tyrannosaurs to diversify enough that we got arguably the most powerful predator to ever exist on land. The discovery of Khankhuuluu after 50 years of the fossils sitting on a shelf just highlights for me how important it is that we take a much closer look at some of those museum collections of fossils that were found 50, 60, 70 years ago. Because who knows what those older discoveries might have missed, and who knows what discoveries could just be sitting there waiting to be rediscovered and then shown to the world.